Hi, how are you?
Welcome. You're here with Lee Child. I'm going to give your timings in the chat, so do keep an eye on that. But otherwise, I'll hand you over. Enjoy your interview.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, Lee, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Fine, fine. Well, first of all, thank you very much for this interview. And
Pleasure.
my first question, how do you think the show has evolved from season one to season two?
I think it evolved in a way that really matches what it ought to do, because don't forget, season one was based on the first book, Killing Floor, and that book takes place just after Reacher has left the army. So Reacher in that book is really learning how to be Reacher. He's learning how to live his new life. And I felt that season one, because it was new to television, nobody had seen it before. We watched Reacher become Reacher during that season. Over the first 2-3 episodes, you could see he was adapting to his new life. And so now with season two, Reacher is totally in his new life, and he's thoroughly happy with what he's doing. And the irony, of course, is that then he has to go back to his old life in order to meet up again with his old unit squad mates, his old friends, the people that he trusted so much and worked with so intensely. He goes back. So it's really exploring Reacher being Reacher in two different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. How much control did you have in the creative decisions?
The control that I want, the only control that's worth having, is to make sure the right people are doing it. And that's
Nice.
where I put 99% of my effort, is choosing the team that should do it, choosing the platform for a start. You know, there's Netflix, there's all kinds of other things, but Amazon is who I wanted. And the people doing it were who I wanted. And so that is job done from my point of view. If you've got the right team in place, just let them get on with it. And that's what I've tried to do. We talk all the time. They ask me things. We discuss things. But I do not want to be a kind of busybody, or I don't want to be giving them anxiety all the time. I don't want them to think about me at all. I want them to think about the show only. And so I say to them explicitly, this is your show. I trust you. Just do it. And we see the results. Season two is fantastic from that point of view. I was very unsure, really. Could we make it better than season one? Because season one was great. But could we match that? Could we possibly exceed that? And we have. Season two is better than season one. And I think that is a kind of miracle, to be honest.
And after all that process, after the success of the first season and the feedback you get from the fans, did you feel any pressure when you got to work to the new season? Is there something you wanted to maybe change or correct from the previous episodes?
Yeah, the feedback was all positive from season one. And so it really didn't carry a message of what we had to do for season two. But I feel as an entertainer, you need to give something that is reliable. In other words, people know what they're going to get and you deliver it. And that's what we did with season two. It's exactly as good as people would hope. In one sense, I did ask for one tiny change, which is that in season two, Reacher is going back to his old friends, working with the people that he worked with so intensely and intimately before. And Reacher has made different choices in his life. They have all gone on to careers, corporate security, private detectives, or whatever. Reacher is living life on the road. And for the very first time, he's a little unsure. Did I make the right decision? Because those people are gonna look at him and they're gonna judge him. So for the first time, he's a little insecure. And I wanted to emphasize that slightly, that they are all super civilized. They've got cars, they've got suits, they've got good shoes, all that kind of stuff. Reacher is a bum. And so I wanted him to look a little scruffier this time to bring out that contrast between the professional lifestyle and Reacher's hobo lifestyle. And so the costume for Reacher is a little different now because he needed to be a wild man in contrast to their civilized people.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that precisely because this season Richard seems to be more emotional from time to time because of the gathering with his old friends. So were you channeling personal feelings when you created this particular story?
I think you always are. You know, you always are working on what you would feel if you were in that situation. And so absolutely, yes, I was. I was thinking there is emotion in it. I mean, it's always emotional to get back with your old friends, especially after a long time apart, seeing what they're doing, how their lives are. And especially emotional, of course, when you get back together because of a tragedy, which is how they start season 2. They're together because of some very bad news. And so, yeah, there's a lot of emotion in it. And that's the great thing about these long television series is that you've got time for all of that. You can explore the emotion. You can have the quiet parts and the sad parts, as well as the big action parts, because you have so long to tell the story.
What are your impressions after seeing not one, but two actors, two famous actors like Tom Cruise and Alan Richardson portrayed your character, your creation?
It's really weird from the writer's point of view because inevitably a writer puts himself into the character. There's really no alternative to that. There's something of you in that character. And really talented actors like Tom and like Alan, they read the words and they understand what's behind them. And so when you see their performances, it's you coming back at yourself because of the talent of the actors. And so that is a weird circular process. Things that I do, things that I say are coming back at me as if from somebody else. And I think that is a very strange feeling.
Does Richard universe fits better on a television show or depends on the book you're trying to adapt?
I think any book is going to be better on television these days, simply because of the time that you've got. In practical terms, a movie, you've maybe got 90 minutes to tell a story. And for streaming television like the Prime Reacher series, you've got 8 hours. That's a huge difference. You can have the light and the shade. You can have the fast and the slow. It's much more like a novel than a movie is. And I think that's why the readers have responded so well, because it's almost a familiar experience for them. They settle down, they've got many hours of entertainment ahead of them, and they react to it in the same way that they react to the book.
You have movies, you have a TV show. How do you see Richard 3 decades after you created him? Is it a vigilante? Is it a superhero maybe? Or just a pure, simple hero?
I think he is a representation of what we would all want to be if we had the physical capability and if we lived in a fictional world where there were no consequences. You know what it's like. If you see something that's bad or rotten or unfair, you want to fix it. You want to put it right. And in real life, you can't necessarily do that. The situation might be difficult. You might be scared. You might be intimidated. It might be a problem at work where you're going to get fired if you make a fuss about it. So mostly you don't do anything and you live with this awful feeling of frustration. But in a story on the screen, yes, you can do it. And so when Richard takes charge of something, when Richard disposes of a bad guy, it's not really Reacher doing that. It's you doing that. That's what you want to do. And you're living with Reacher as your proxy. And you're getting the satisfaction from seeing something done that you believe should be done.
That's nice. Lisa, I understand that you are giving the power of the book franchise to your brother, Andrew. Did you get tired of Richard?
I did not. I didn't get tired of him, but what I did was I realized I was getting older, and I made a promise to myself long ago that I would never phone it in. I would never be one of those authors who just went through the motions to earn a paycheck. I hated that as a reader. I hated it when an author got lazy or tired or ran out of gas. And so I made myself a promise that if I ever detected that I was running out of gas, I would stop. And I was maybe a little oversensitive about it. I could have probably carried on a number of years, but I thought, no, I made that promise. I've got to stick to it. It's an honorable thing. Do not shortchange the reader. Do not phone it in. Give them the best possible product. And when I was no longer sure I could do that, I knew it was time to pass it on.
Okay. My last question. The show has the potential to go on in the future, of course. Which book would you like to see adapted for the screen next?
Well, I think that we've done the first two have established who Reacher is for the wider audience, his personal background and his professional background. So the future seasons, I don't mind. The books are designed that you can read them any order you want. You don't need to know anything about the previous stories to enjoy the current stories. So it doesn't really matter which order they do it in. And I think they're going to choose it based on a number of considerations that are kind of technical. You know, where can we make this? Is it a prequel taking place in the past? Can we make characters look younger? You know, there's a lot of technical stuff. So the decision it'll be one of those instinctive decisions. Everybody talks and talks and talks, and then there's a consensus comes out and everybody agrees. So I'm happy as long as they keep on making them. I don't care which order they make them in.
Okay. Lee, sir, thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.